Talking, I still keep it real as it is. I show my age, I don't switch often. I'm just as a dad as it gets. Try taking naps with my kids, talking. I'm guessing this life how it is. And I can't wait for the weekend. Keep jammies on like I'm a kid. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Feel good, feel great, can't complain. Look out my window, see birds and planes. Sun's out, some clouds, it might rain. Siblings on my nerves again. Summertime, go for a swim. Wintertime, go grab a sled. Spring, I might need an umbrella. Fall back in school with my friends. Attitude change like the weather. My mom tell me it never ends. Like clocks, we evolve in a circle. Every 12 months we do it again. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face. Throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Eat some breakfast, milk and eggs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face.
Do you have me?
Throw my clothes on,
you still see me?
Start my day.
Okay. My view disappeared. Okay.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, people.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. I had to double back to make sure my microphone wasn't muted again this morning. James, DJ Bubba Williams, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, sir. How about yourself, Ben?
I'm doing good, man, as well as could be expected with everything that's happening in news and politics. But that's what we're here for. We're here to break the news to the people without breaking the people. So many things happening around the country. Rebecca Azora will be joining us in the next segment. So let's just jump right into what's happening around the world. I want to start in Atlanta, and I want to start with the news of the mass shooter at the Atlanta Spa shooting that took place last month. And it seems like so long ago when we consider so many things that have happened since then. A grand jury has indicted Robert Aaron Long on murder charges. Long is a suspect in the Atlanta metro area spa shootings that resulted in 8 people being killed across 3 locations. Prosecutors will seek the death penalty in the case. Now, I and this show and my platform, we are adamantly opposed to the death penalty because it doesn't bring justice. It only brings more death. But we will be able to see exactly how the state of Georgia responds to this mass shooting and to this hate crime. The Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis spoke to reporters after the grand jury's decision was announced. I want us to take a look as she announces the charges.
Today, a Fulton County grand jury handed down a 19-count indictment against Robert Aaron Long. The indictment charges Mr. Long with 4 counts of malice murder and 4 counts of felony murder. These are charges in the alternative. Further, the indictment charges 5 counts of aggravated assault, with 4 of the counts being for the acts committed in the murder charges, plus 1 count for the defendant's alleged acts against Isis Escobar, who survived. Further, this indictment contains 1 count of domestic terrorism, arising from the allegation that the defendant committed the crime of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon when used against these 5 people was intended to intimidate or kill the civilian population. Further, the indictment carries 5 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
Now, that was Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis. She went on to discuss her decision to pursue the death penalty and hate crime charges. Let's listen in.
I, along with my staff, have made a determination that this office will seek the death penalty. Last year, I told the voters of Fulton County that I could not imagine a circumstance where I would seek it. And at that time, I did not. Unfortunately, a case has arisen in the first few months of my term that I believe warrants the ultimate penalty, and we shall seek it. We have filed a notice that we will seek sentence enhancement pursuant to Georgia's sentencing enhancement statute, commonly referred to as a hate crime statute.
Now, the suspect Long was also indicted on 19 counts in Cherokee County, including 4 charges for malice murder, 4 charges for felony murder, and 1 charge for domestic terrorism, 5 charges for aggravated assault, and 5 charges for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, according to the indictment. James, this was a massacre, and I go back and forth. But I always come to the same conclusion on the death penalty. But setting that argument aside, this guy deserves the full extent of the law, life in prison from my perspective. But I'm glad these charges were brought as a hate crime. Especially because so many people were debating whether or not, especially those officers who were like, he had a bad day. And then people were like, oh, no, he had a sex addiction. And they had all these excuses for him, giving him cover so that it wouldn't be categorized as a hate crime, because that's the thing that they really hate in this country. Right. And when I say they, I mean the powerful. They white supremacy. They don't want anything to be labeled a hate crime because it shines a light on the broader system of white supremacy. They're perfectly okay with the death penalty because it disproportionately affects people of color, black people specifically. And we find out far too often that black people are executed even though they were innocent. So they're okay. They, in fact, white supremacy and this system, they love the death penalty, but they really absolutely hate the idea of hate crimes because the whole label of hate crimes really shines light on the broader systemic issues. But if there ever was a case that was a clear case of a hate crime, it was this man going in there and murdering all of those Asian workers for whatever reason, whatever his justification, he targeted them and murdered them. And so this is the first step in terms of bringing him to justice, because we can't get justice. Those victims can't get justice. All we could do, the best we could do in this country, in reality anywhere, is to bring him to justice before the courts. And I know you've been following this, man. What are you thinking? Because it's right here. It's home. It's here in Atlanta.
I'm impartial, but at this point, yes, seek the full extent of the law, because you can't get these lives back. And granted, the death penalty is no better, but at this point in the game, I think it is what it is. Honestly, and I know that she was under pressure, I'm sure, from certain people. So I think also what this is going to do is kind of lead and guide more cities and governments to start looking at this for these types of crimes, because everybody else, they're still here just not doing anything. So at least Fulton County got that part right, where they went on and did something. Like I said, I'm impartial to the death penalty, but at this point, full extent of the law, he needs to have every book in the world thrown at his ass. Listen,
it takes a lot. It takes a whole lot for me to be morally consistent with the death penalty. I'm telling you, because Dylan Roof, my first, with the white supremacists who murdered, I believe it was 9 people at Mother Emanuel AME in South Carolina. I wanted that boy to burn. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right, Ben. And so, but I had to take a step back and look, and this is just me. Like, I'm not saying, Actually, I did say at the beginning, I said this show, but that's not the opinion of this show necessarily. That's my opinion in terms of the death penalty. But it's hard. It's hard, especially when you see someone who does something along the lines that this guy did. And my thing is, I just don't know that the death penalty actually discourages. I don't think that there's a single mass shooter who goes in and shoots up a place and he's concerned about the death penalty or would change his mind because of the possibility of him getting the death penalty. I think in a lot of cases, these guys go out here and they do these mass shootings and they have already resolved in their mind that they are going to die. You know what I mean? Because how do you hype yourself up to go and do something this violent and this murderous without, dealing with the fact that there's a good possibility that you're going to die. So I think, the death penalty is the least of this guy's concern in his mind because he went out there to do this. On the flip side, I'm just amazed. They are really if you listen to, and you're going to listen to his attorneys, we're going to hear stuff. You're going to hear people writing about it. You're going to hear a lot of people on social media, but they're more concerned with this being labeled a hate crime than they are with the fact that this guy is going to be facing the death penalty. And that just really shows you the misplaced priorities in this country. And that's putting it nicely. That's putting it extremely diplomatic. That tells you how effed up this country really is. That they're more concerned with something like, oh, let's not label it a hate crime, because if we label it a hate crime, then all of a sudden people are going to be looking at this system, this structure, because what is a hate crime anyway? Did he really hate Asian women? Because from those police officers' perspective and all the people defending it, it wasn't that he hated these women. It's that he desired these women in a way, blah, 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 blah. They go through all of these disgusting arguments and suggest also so that we don't have anything, so that it wouldn't be tried as a hate crime. That's their priority, not the death penalty. Their number one concern, the death penalty is fine. Just don't call it a hate crime. And that's because they prioritize protecting the system of white supremacy and all of the power structures that hurt people, that actually literally lead to the deaths of individuals. They're more concerned about that system and protecting that system from any type of criticism, any type of critique. Excuse me. I want to go to international news a little bit here. And yesterday we very briefly covered what was happening with the bombing in Gaza. The Israeli military airstrikes in Gaza, and I did a full podcast on it last night, so you could get a lot more details there, and there's a lot of information out there. We want to make sure that everyone is informed on what's going on, as well as some of the political nuances. I don't know that I'm going to go into it this morning, but there are a lot of there's a lot of political posturing that's happening around what's happening in Gaza, but at the end of the day, we're talking about real lives. We're talking about the lives of Palestinian children, 9 of whom were killed, 20 total, 9 children, and the inability of this country, the United States of America, to even condemn the murder of children. So I want to follow up on that coverage on the conflict in Israel. Yesterday, Israeli bombing of Gaza continued. Here is footage of a 13-story residential tower collapsing after being hit by an Israeli airstrike. Now, I want to give you a warning. It contains graphic violence of this building collapsing, so viewer discretion is advised. Now, according to Reuters, as of yesterday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, yesterday, there were no reports of casualties from that particular building, but though that was the home of human beings. And you combine this with all the other footage that we're getting. There are casualties. There's airstrikes taking lives. There are people dying as a result of this. And this is just another. I'm tired, James. I don't even want to, in terms of the particulars of the political arguments. at the end of the day, what we're seeing is human life being taken for political reasons. I think it was and my international relations professor is going to be mad at me because I can't remember von Clausewitz's first name, but he said that war is the continuation of politics by other means. And when I first heard that, it was like, oh, that's a cool statement. But when you really slow down and think about it, you got to really put in what happens in war. You know, murder, right? We sanitize it and call it war, but it's murder. I don't care how you cut it. You're snatching lives away from human beings, and you're doing so. At the other part of a statement is for is continuation of politics by other means. So what you're telling me is that war in this country, on this planet, we are willing to snatch lives, to kill, to murder for political means. What's happening right now with all the conflict, and of course we can break it down and decide and look at the sides and look at the culpability, look at the disproportionate response, look at how we call it a clash when in actuality you can't call someone throwing stones and someone getting airstrikes. You can't call that a clash. Right? We could break down the inability of the United States of America in our role as global empire to even recognize the humanity of Palestinians. Right? So I don't want to wax so philosophical that we don't address the real issue that's happening right now with the real lives being taken away. But the fact that we have this propensity in I keep saying our country, but on the face of this planet, because it's not just the United States, even though the United States is the empire. It is the fact that people would kill, man, for politics. And I guess that's to be expected because we kill for we kill for anything. We kill for stupidity, for greed. We kill for, but we structure it, we sanitize it, we wrap it in the veil of patriotism, no matter what nationalism, no nation that you're from, you wrap it in the veil of patriotism because the far right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu, those people are celebrating. They're celebrating the triumphant victories of their Israeli military, right? That is a political institution. We're not talking about the people of Jewish faith, of Jewish descent. We're not talking about ethnicity. We're not talking about anything along those lines. We're talking about politics. And it's not, of course, like I can't discuss this propensity to war because of politics without discussing the United States, because we literally stay in a perpetual state of war simply for politics and for money. But that's going to be the destruction of us, folks. That is literally going to be the destruction of us because we have no regard for human life. We can't even recognize, particularly the United States, cannot even recognize the humanity of children, of Palestinian children, because it would complicate our politics too much. And so we're okay and we're quiet as Israel carries out their strikes, which is for no other reason but their own political and economic ends. And as they snatch away human lives, and all we could do from across the ocean is to sit back and bring these criticisms. But as a nation, we're not doing it. Where's the Biden administration? Where they are is you have Jen Psaki, who essentially saying the same thing as Ned Price said, the spokesperson for the State Department, basically saying Israel has a right to self-defense, but what about the Palestinian people? Right? Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. Andrew Yang said the same thing. All these people are eager to recognize the right for Israel to defend themselves without any statement whatsoever about the humanity or the same right for the Palestinian people. And it's all rooted in one simple fact, that if a group, if a person, if a group, if an organization, if a particular state, if a particular nation cannot get its way, they're more than happy to drop bombs on you and destroy everything, your home, your life, simply so that they can get their political and economic way. And the United States is leading the charge in that regard. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the cyber attack that has crippled the U.S. gas supply, particularly in the Southeast, and some unbelievably stupid pictures. I mean, some of the things people are doing to hoard gas right now shows you just how ignorant humanity can really be, more like it or not, after this.
Start my day.
Good morning again, everybody. Thank you for tuning in so much again for Like It or Not. Wednesday, May 12th. I was about to say Tuesday. My gosh, I'm stuck in a day behind. Shout out Mom and Daddy. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, Sensation. Y'all, we hope you're enjoying thus far. Make sure that you stay tuned. More Like It or Not is coming up. And if you have not already, make sure that you join the Patreon. Patreon.com/Like It or Not. Patreon.com/Like It or Not. Good morning, everybody that's streaming Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Good morning.
C 1, 2, 3. Drink some water. Brush my teeth.
Brother Lateef, good morning. Good morning.
Better my hair is a mess. Look through my clothes for a fit.
Ruthless Dragon, thank you for your super chat. Ruthless Dragon says, good morning, y'all. And shout out Brother Lateef, who also sent the super chat and said, great podcast last night,
taking naps with my kids, talking. I'm guessing this life how it is. And I can't wait for the weekend.
Brother Chuck Diesel, Brenda, good morning, y'all.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and
Rebecca Foy, good morning.
Teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining.
DJ MG Nico, good morning.
Boy, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you rolled up on me, yeah. Man, I felt your energy.
Nat A, good morning, good morning. Latino, good morning.
Yeah, but something went wrong.
Good morning, Alicia, I see you.
Now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were.
Pixie on the Moon, good morning. Lateef, that was an older track that I forgot about back in the day.
We keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the
Also, y'all, make sure that you follow us on social media. Make sure that you follow us on social media at Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. Peter Lowe, Tiger, good morning, brother. Afraid Not, good morning.
Don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Will you take me on a trip? Always up and down.
Mark S., you know how I do early in the morning, sir. Good morning.
I just wanna get it right. But when you go left, I'm stuck here.
Sweet Indigo 45, thank you for your super chat.
Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby.
All right, y'all, get ready. It's time for More Like It or Not. Coming back to Benjamin Dixon.
If you love me, just like you say.
James, were you able to get gas, man?
Oh yeah, man, I was good. Excuse me. What happened is like my phone started early, and I ain't gonna say early in the morning, but a little bit after we finished the show yesterday. My mom texted me first. I think then my sister-in-law, then one of my other supervisors at work texted me like, "Hey, have you gotten gas?" I'm like, "Okay, not yet." So I went about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I think, to the gas station. By the time I got there were like lines. And my gas station down here down the street is normally not that packed. Man, there was people lined up at my little mom and pop gas station. $3.09 a gallon per gas. And they
Now,
it
we
took
getting
like 30 minutes, bro, to put $25 in my car because the pumps were moving that slow because they were running out of gas.
Wow, man. So, we getting brand new on the price of gas, like, because I remember when gas was damn near $4 a gallon up in Boston. And right. I've been enjoying, like, one of the I don't know. You can't say this. The next thing that I was getting ready to say was going to be problematic because I was going to say one of the good things that came out of COVID, just nothing good that came out of COVID. But at the very beginning, man, gas prices went down to like $1 and some change here in Georgia. But I got your text message yesterday. Me and Rebecca, we got she was on the thread, and I went looking for gas, and it's gone. Like there was no gas on my side of town whatsoever, and that is a result of a cyber attack that has crippled the U.S. gas supply. On Sunday, the U.S. government declared a state of emergency due to the shutdown of the Colonial, which is a pipeline that supplies much of the East Coast with its gasoline. It's considered the aorta artery of the gas industry on the East Coast. That pipeline was taken offline due to a ransomware attack on Saturday night. Now, this state of emergency lifted various limits on the transport of fuels in order to compensate for the loss of the pipeline. A regional state of emergency is in place affecting 17 states. Virginia, Florida, North Carolina also have declared states of emergencies. Here's what President Biden had to say about the situation on Monday.
The Department of Energy is working directly with Colonial to get the pipelines back online and operating at full capacity as quickly and safely as possible. The FBI also is engaged to assess and address this attack. The agencies across the government have acted quickly to mitigate any impact on our fuel supply. And over the weekend, at my direction, the Department of Transportation issued an emergency order to loosen restrictions on truck drivers in order to allow more fuel to be transported by a tanker. We're prepared to take additional steps depending on how quickly the company is able to bring its pipeline back to full operational capacity. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has determined Colonial's network was infected by ransomware, and it's a criminal act, obviously.
Now, before President Biden left the podium, he was asked if the Russian government was possibly involved.
Do you think Russia is involved at all implicitly with that attack?
I'm going to have a conference. I'm going to be meeting with President Putin, and so far there is no evidence from our intelligence people that Russia is involved. Although there is evidence that the actors, ransomware, is in Russia, they have some responsibility to deal with this.
The FBI believes ransomware hacking group known as DarkSide is behind the attack, and the group has claimed responsibility. The group indicated that they did not intend to create a societal or economic problem with their tactics. In a statement, they said the following, quote, "We are apolitical. We do not participate in geopolitics, do not need to tie us with a defined government, and look for our other motives. Our goal is to make money and not creating problems for society. From today, we introduce moderation and check each company that our partners want to encrypt to avoid social consequences in the future." This is from DarkSide. ZDNet. Yeah, I got a lot more to say on the story, but bruh, I mean, at least they're honest.
That's some gangster ass shit. I'm gonna say that. Y'all released this after y'all claim responsibility. Y'all released a statement saying we didn't mean to cripple y'all.
The whole world.
We just wanted to just sow some shit, but it happened. But going forward, we're not gonna do that anymore. That's gangster as hell, dude. Oh
man, bro. They said, listen, we don't mind stealing your money. But we ain't really trying to mess up society because we want a society to spend that money in. They're like, because if we bring down all of society, what good is this money? That's basically what that message says. So they said going forward.
go. DarkSide, if you're listening, if you're watching right now, can y'all please either go
check
after Fannie Mae, and goddamn Equifax. What's the other one? TransUnion.
Experian.
Experian. Can you get them, please? Damn. Brother's trying to get a house.
Hey man, listen. I always wonder, where are the hackers that actually are political on the left? Where are the people who would take down? We sitting here waiting on Joe Biden to clear student debt. Man, come on, somebody. DarkSide, come on,
DarkSide.
And shout out to them for the name. The name is dope anyway, right? I'm thinking DC Comics DarkSide, but I digress. But they're not carrying themselves like DarkSide, because DarkSide would not make no apologies about whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. So don't make excuses. Just hit the right thing. Don't hit the gas. I mean, we need gas to get. People got to get to work. Just clear all of our debts. That's what we saying.
Okay.
So, anyways,
exactly.
ZDNet.com reports that DarkSide is a group believed to have been active since the summer of 2020. Their malware is offered under a ransomware as a service. Ransomware as a service model. And once a system has been breached, ransomware payments demands can range from $200,000 to $2 million. The group has previously been connected to big game hunting methods in which large organizations are targeted, which would fit with the Colonial Pipeline incident. And this is according to ZDNets.com. Colonial Pipeline said it aims to substantially restore services by the end of the week. So I'm going to wait till the end of the week, James, to get gas. We're just going to, we're still sheltering in place.
Stuck it out, right.
I'm just going to stick it out because I'm not paying $3.20 for gas.
Man, exactly, man. And that's why I didn't even fill up my tank. I'm like, why fill up? I'm not going anywhere. I got to have a DJ event on Saturday. Other than that, I'm not going anywhere. So I'm good.
Yep. And that's the real power, man. Like the one thing that there are some things that came as a result. There's some revelations that people got as a result of COVID-19, right? Yeah. One of those things was we ain't got to go everywhere. We can sit our asses at home and watch this expensive cable that y'all talked us into getting and use this expensive internet that you told us we needed to do these jobs and just sit home, which that absolutely like that crushed the cost of gas until there was somebody did a thing. It escapes me. There was a massive short on gas futures back at the beginning of the pandemic that actually helped. There was a lot of people who got rich off of that, but I digress. The point is that what we learned at the beginning of the pandemic was we don't have to actively participate in this system at the level that constantly drains us for everything, man. Like they would just as soon have us go out there and pay $4 a gallon for gas, pay $10 for a little burger at McDonald's, and they ain't even paying their workers $15 an hour, right? We still paying $10. We would go and work all day and make our bosses money, and then when we come home, you know what I mean, we watch the expensive television and expensive internet and all that kind of stuff, and they would drain us for everything. Well, the pandemic said, nope, we just have to stay home. And I'm keeping some of those practices because I am not. I'm gonna stay home until gas gets back underneath $3. So to that end, y'all need a ransomware, whatever, dark side. We need you to put your talents and your skills somewhere else other than the gas pipeline. Because that's like the number one thing that you could do to have societal impact. So anyway, a little bit more reporting on this. If the pipeline is not quickly reopened, the impact on gasoline prices could be severe. We're already seeing that. Without any resolution, prices could jump considerably throughout the entirety of the East Coast. Drivers have already started rushing to gas station, leading to shortages. And I just two pictures. These are just two pictures. One of them is this is how stupid people are, man.
What the hell?
Go back to the picture where we're doing. Go back. I want you to see how stupid people really are. This is how people are hoarding gas.
Bags of gas?
Bags of gasoline.
Is that even safe? I'm like, what the hell?
No, the gas is going to eat through that. Like that person, I doubt that person made it home without having a trunk full of gas.
Right.
Like not only a trunk, but like I'm pretty sure, like, because any number of sparks, I don't even know if that car is still in existence anymore. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's how stupid these people are. I'm sorry to the people who are listening to the podcast, but we're looking at it. Looks like a Mercedes, right? It looks like kind of has the body of a Mercedes. Can't really tell, but it is full. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 bags of gasoline in the trunk, and then this next picture is just ye old standard hoarding. This one is not. This one's not as dangerous, but this is what's going on. Like it's still dangerous because they're laying it down in the back of the truck. Like what are you doing?
Like laying it flat. Really?
You're laying it flat. Y'all so dumb. Oh my god. But at least they have the correct containers. At least they have the correct containers. Wow.
Yeah.
But they're laying it down.
And I know there's been a few pictures like this. I know on the news, I think they caught somebody like 6 cans, 6 red cans like that, filling them at the tank. Like for what? You're not going nowhere like that, man.
It's dude. One more time, go back to the other one, Dwayne. The gasoline, dude. I look at this picture, and I think that humanity will be extinct in the next 50 years because that's how stupid this picture is.
We're doomed. Doomed. So, absolutely doomed.
Maybe Dark Side has done us a favor because we see how stupid humanity really is. Like, what's the point? What's the point when why can somebody this stupid actually afford a Mercedes, and most people who got good sense is, they can't even afford a Pinto, if they even sell Pintos anymore. I'm just saying, like, it just shows you how structurally stupid Americans really are. I just don't even know what to say about this.
Man, and my thing is, how they gonna expect to put that anywhere? How they gonna put that in their gas tank?
How you gonna put it in your gas tank?
Put this in the goddamn bag. I bet you they double bagged it too.
Paper or plastic ass dumb people.
Dumbass.
I mean, come on, man. Oh, this just goes to show you that people with money ain't smart. And granted, that could be that because kind of look like an older Mercedes. It looked like it was like a 2005 Mercedes, so it could be a used Mercedes. They might but still, I'm going to imagine in my mind that this is a rich person who's just dumb as hell because money is not equivalent to intelligence in this country. But man, I'm telling you, we are on a pathway for destruction because of stupidity, man. It is.
That's crazy, man. Real quick, I want to read a super chat from Anna Hart she sent some time ago. Anna says, my ancestors taught the simple fact that we do not own the land. The land owns us. And Mother Earth is crying as we continuously fight for who is right all around the globe. That's right, bro. That's really crazy. That's absolutely right.
Dude, I'm just I'm really laughing because I know the picture's not on the screen, but it's in my head still. And you just think about the potholes. Can you imagine trying to drive home in a Mercedes with a trunk full of gasoline bags and you hit a pothole and that's it? I mean, that's it. That's a wrap. At best, you just ruined your car because all of it leaked out and your entire car is soaked with gasoline. But it's very likely just one little itty bitty spark would have. We should watch the news because I'm sure there's a Mercedes that's burned out on the side of the highway right now.
Exactly.
Right now. All right, let's shift gears a little bit more. I want to talk about Mitch McConnell. Let's go to some national politics, and he's playing victim on election reform during a Senate hearing on the For the People Act, which aims at reforming voting laws. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell framed the legislation as an attempt by the Democratic Party to reshape America's laws in favor of their party. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Madam Chairman, we'll hear a lot of flowery language today, including my friend and colleague, the Majority Leader. But we all learned early in life, if you can write the rules, you can win the game. If you can write the rules, you can win the game. For multiple years now, not just this year, but for multiple years now, Democrats have called this sweeping bill their top priority. You just heard the Majority Leader make a totally partisan speech about it. There's nothing bipartisan about this. This was cooked up at the Democratic National Committee and designed to advantage one side to the disadvantage of the other. The substance of the legislation actually hadn't changed over the years, but the supposed rationales have changed constantly. In 2016, American voters made a presidential decision the Democrats didn't like. This legislation was cooked up at that particular point and presented as a massive overhaul, an emergency repair job for a broken democracy. That's what it was back then. Last autumn, voters made a decision the Democrats liked a lot better. Suddenly, their side stopped calling our democracy broken. Now, our democracy was beyond reproach. But curiously enough, the Democrats still want the exact same sweeping bill just as desperately. The truth is quite simple. Our democracy is not in crisis, and we aren't going to let one party take over our democracy under the false pretense of saving it. Voter turnout last November blew 2016 and 28 out of the water. The 2020 election saw the highest turnout in decades.
The truth is, it's our American democracy is not in crisis. This dude, just for people who are not 100% clear on the For the People Act, is what we refer to on this show many times as HR 1, House Resolution 1. And it is an act to expand Americans' access to the ballot box, reduce the influence of big money in politics. It strengthens ethics rules for public servants and implements other anti-corruption measures for the purposes of fortifying our democracy. That is the purpose of the bill. And it is in response to all of the draconian measures being taken by Republicans across this country to ensure that folks cannot go out and vote for Democrats. Now, let's just keep it absolutely clear. What Mitch McConnell is doing here is trying to say that this act that is being debated and considered is going to harm democracy. And I'm only unpacking that because it is the standard operating procedure for Republicans to project onto us what they themselves are doing. In other words, Mitch McConnell knows damn well that what he and his comrades are doing on the right is ensuring that black people in particular can't go out and vote at the levels that we have been voting because they don't like what we're voting for. That's what they are trying to do. And in order to prevent this legislation, which is going to directly roll back all of this draconian legislation, what's happening in Georgia, what's happening in Arizona, what's happening across the country, HR 1 for the People Act is going to address those issues from the federal level. A little bit more context. The reason we're having this conversation in the first place is because Chief Justice John Roberts in Shelby versus Holder, I believe it's Shelby versus Holder, basically gutted the Voting Rights Act. Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which required that any state that had a history of disenfranchising voters, particularly minorities, had to come to the Department of Justice before they made any changes in their voting law. Shelby versus Holder did away with that. And since then, we've seen an onslaught of Republican bills that have rolled back our ability as citizens to vote. They put hurdles in our way to vote. There was a Pennsylvania Republican. I think his name is Mike. What is Mike's Turk? I can't remember his name. His name's not important, but he was the chairman of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania, and he got caught. I mean, he didn't get caught. He actually just said it at a conference, at a Republican conference. He said that the reason that they were passing back in 2012, they've been doing this for a long time. Back in 2012, the reason that they were passing all of these voting ID laws was so that Mitt Romney, at the time he was a presidential candidate, could win. He literally just outright said it. He said the reason we passed, voter ID law, done. It's going to help Mitt Romney win the state of Pennsylvania. Of course, he got in trouble for openly admitting what we know Republicans have been doing this entire time. The entire purpose for every piece of legislation that they're putting forth on the state level in order to get election integrity is absolutely to be a stumbling block, particularly for minorities, specifically black people, from being able to get out to vote. James, we talk about this all the time. We said, we are going to overcome it. You think about Stacey Abrams, literally had the gubernatorial race in Georgia stolen from her by Brian Kemp, who was the sitting Secretary of State, actively ensuring that he disenfranchised just enough voters so that he could win. And what did Stacey Abrams do? She went out and helped register 300,000 people. 300,000, yep. And so it's cool that we got the ability to overcome, James, but damn it, bro, I'm tired of having to overcome all the time.
Right, like we said earlier this week, I'm sick of having to overcome. We're going to overcome, we're going to do it, we're going to rise up and put this nation on our backs like we always do. But goddamn it, we're sick of doing it. Damn, can we just go vote and just let it be that? Damn.
No, apparently not, man. It's and it was Mike Turzai. I wasn't too far. Mike Turzai got in all kinds of trouble because he just openly admitted. I'm gonna drop this link to you in Slack, Dwayne, because this is, you only get in trouble in the Republican Party if you accidentally say the truth out loud. Right? Because what they've been saying all these years is that we have a voter fraud problem. Voter fraud, we have illegal voting. We have to secure our ballots. We have to make sure we have voter integrity. We have to do all these things and making it seem as though that there's a problem. Here's the truth about voter fraud. Right? The idea that people go and vote multiple times, or the idea that people get in church vans. Like, this is literally a whole thing that went viral. They said that, black people were getting in church vans and going county by county to vote. No, we ain't, bro. Like, we barely want to give you our time to go vote one time. You think we're gonna get in somebody's church van and go? Like, we don't care about America that much. We care about America enough to go and vote once. But this is what they're trying to put in the minds of Americans, is that there are so many people who are voting illegally. And every time, James, we get a case of someone who actually committed voter fraud, it's a Republican. Every time. Out of 2 billion ballots, I think they found like less than 1,000 examples of voter fraud. So basically, the odds of voter fraud actually occurring, you're more likely to get struck by lightning twice in the same place, wearing the same clothes, than you are to actually find cases of voter fraud. But that does not stop Republicans from passing laws all across the country. And anytime I talk about this, I do want to always bring up Mike Turzai, because I hope he's still living a miserable existence. Here he is admitting in Pennsylvania why they are instituting these laws and why they have been instituting these laws for the last 10, 15 years. Let's take a look.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
He thought he would do it. He lost his position.
Which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
So James, he lost his position because he's dumb. He's about dumb as those people who put the plastic bags in the trunk full of gasoline, because he thought, well, this is what we're doing in the background. Like, this is what we talk about at the country club, that we're doing this so that we can suppress votes, so we can help Mitt Romney. In this case, it was Donald Trump. We talked about this at lunch a few minutes ago, Kyle. What do you mean I can't say this on stage? Lost his position and everything else. But that's the truth, man. They can't stand black folks voting.
That's what it is. And man, the people in the chat, the pride, man. When I tell you, they hell.
Crazy, man.
They talking about scrote throat. Mitch McConnell, scrote throat.
Scrotum throat.
Talking about somebody says turtles everywhere are cringing and pulling their heads back in their shells.
Our goal for the next 4 years is to ensure that Barack Obama is a one-term president.
That's the so anyway.
Mitch McConnell. China.
It's just, we gotta laugh. We got to try to laugh, man, because otherwise we'll be turning tables over. I got one more story about national politics, I think, because, this is a national politics show in its own way. CNN's Jamie Gangel discussed the GOP's infighting with Liz Cheney on Monday, explaining that Cheney actually is in part orchestrated things so that they could lead to a vote about her position. Now, this is the conversation about Liz Cheney, who is currently this morning going to be facing a vote to remove her from power in the Republican Party. Before I go any further with this, you got to make sure you understand Liz Cheney is not a good person. And while there are a lot of people who are celebrating her this morning because she has enough goodness in her to not completely side with the fascist. She just voted with him like 99% of the time while he was president, but I digress. She's not a good person, but in this moment, she's like the only Republican willing to stand up against Donald Trump and to do so at her own expense. And so this is a clip of Jamie Gangel. She's she is a contributor to CNN, and she is explaining that this vote that's going to take place this morning, it is partly orchestrated by Liz Cheney because she wanted Liz Cheney believes, or rather Gangel believes that Cheney wants to expose exactly what we're seeing right now, which is how complicit Republicans are still with Donald Trump to this day. Let's take a look at this first clip.
Moments ago, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy sent a letter to his fellow House Republicans confirming that there will be a vote on the future of Congresswoman Liz Cheney on Wednesday. McCarthy wrote, quote, "These internal conflicts need to be resolved so as to not detract from the efforts of our collective team. Having heard from so many of you in recent days, it's clear we need to make a change," unquote. McCarthy goes on to say, quote, "Unlike the left, we embrace free thought and debate."
I think what people need to know about Liz Cheney and this vote on Wednesday is that she does not see it as a personal vote. She sees this as principle over politics. She is forcing her Republican colleagues to either vote for what she sees as democracy, truth, the rule of law, or to vote for Donald Trump. She could have pivoted. She didn't have to make all of these statements. She, in a certain way, orchestrated this vote. She wanted it to come to a head, and I believe this is just the beginning of what will be a campaign against Donald Trump. She does not think Donald Trump will fade away, and she thinks that democracy is in danger, and this is what she has to do.
What happens next?
So I think what we're going to see is a growing campaign after this. After all, every time the Republican Party does something or Donald Trump says something, we're going to all go to Liz Cheney and say, what do you think about that? And she's not alone. It's true. It's a pretty lonely club. Mitt Romney, Larry Hogan from Maryland, Adam Kinzinger. But keep in mind, there were all of these Republicans who either left Congress because they retired or they resigned. Republicans who gave up their party registration, who may be interested in another direction.
Now, last night, Liz Cheney gave a speech on the House floor, and it got so bad that all the Republicans, except for one, walked out during her speech. And again, as I say all these things, I don't want anyone listening to think for a second that Liz Cheney is a good person. And I don't think that she's a bad person simply because she's the daughter of Dick Cheney, who orchestrated the Iraqi war, the Afghanistan war that we're still in to this day, and the murder of hundreds of thousands of Iraqi citizens, and the enrichment of Halliburton as a defense contracting aid company, made billions off the deaths of American soldiers along with Iraqi citizens. Like, I'm not going to say that she's bad just because that's her father, but that's her father, right? And the apples don't ever fall too far from the damn tree. And so I don't want anybody to get enamored with her because she has enough nerve to stand up against Donald Trump. I just want everybody to understand that that's how bad this country is that a warmongering, hypocritical monster like Liz Cheney is actually the good person on that side of the equation. Right? That's how far gone this country is. I want you to take a look at this real short clip before we finish this conversation. And it's of Jim Jordan, who's a congressperson who himself really should stay out of the news cycle all the time. Because if you really want to know about Jim Jordan, ask those students at his university. Anyway, I digress. Listen to him as he tries to make Liz Cheney seem like she's a Democrat when she's nothing more than a Dick Cheney type of Republican.
Committee. Congressman, your thoughts on what you just heard from Liz Cheney?
You can't have the Republican conference chair reciting Democrat talking points, especially when gas prices are up 50%, there's a crisis on the border, and Democrats are trying to federalize election law and pack the United States Supreme Court. That is not helpful. That is the concern, and that's why 3 months ago, there were a number of us who wanted to make a change. That change, in fact, will happen tomorrow, Laura, and I think that's a good thing for our party. You want our party spokesperson to be in tune with more than a single-digit percentage of the party. 90-some% of the party disagree with Congresswoman Cheney, there needs to be a change. And again, I think that's going to happen tomorrow, and I think it'll be a strong vote.
Now, how is anything she's saying different from any garden variety left-wing pundit on MSNBC? I mean,
God. So, hey, Rebecca, good to see you. I just got to say this real quick. Y'all, this is how bad America is. Liz Cheney, who has no problem about us dropping bombs and killing hundreds of thousands of people in Iraq, is the good person in the Republican Party compared to like Matt Gaetz, who is accused of sex crimes against children. And Jim Jordan, if you want to really know about him, ask the wrestling students at Ohio State University what he really stands for. Like, this is how bad this country is. And they are making her out to be like she's the good person because she's like one of 100 people willing to stand up against Donald Trump. So anyway, Rebecca, good morning. And you walked into the middle of it. What's up? You got to unmute that microphone too, though.
The end of it. I walked into the end of it. As we can see, I thought I was talking to Dwayne the whole time. It's crazy. But no, yes, we walked into the end of it. Me, she, her, and I apologize. But we got 5 more minutes in this show, so I don't want to,
Jesus Christ, is it that late already?
Yes,
right, man, we've been moving, bro.
And I get to send in her, and then it becomes my show and just mine. So I ain't trying to do that.
You got to be on time for it to be your show, anyway.
Yeah, well, when you got 2 jobs, you can't do everything like that. When you got 2 jobs, you can't do everything.
It is. Wait a minute, hang on. We got 5 minutes. I just got to go back and see if we covered everything. Oh, we still got a couple other stories to cover. But good morning and welcome. They're doing that vote this morning. The other thing that happened in this story was 100 Republicans, right? So I don't know who these people are, but it goes back to the Kissinger, because I keep wanting to call that man Kissinger. I want to call him Kissinger.
Is it 2 S's or is there a Z in there?
No, there's Z. But I want to keep calling him Kissinger because of obviously Kissinger. But anyway, I digress. But there are 100 Republicans who are preparing to sign a letter today or this week saying that they're going to start a third party if the party leadership doesn't break away from Donald Trump. And the thing is, it goes right back to what we were talking about with Kissinger. Who are they? We don't even know them. Like, where they at? They ain't on Fox News. They ain't on MSNBC. We don't even know their names. Like, I appreciate you guys doing this, but at the same time, y'all ain't got enough pull to stop Donald Trump.
But even when they aren't on, because I'm gonna make my little two-second commentary before we go to the next show. But even if they aren't on like Fox News or MSNBC, and we don't know them, they show up on Newsmax, which nobody really knew who Newsmax was until like last.
Is Newsmax even still in business after what
we don't even know?
Yesterday.
Since old boy came on there and was like, "Aren't you guys being sued?"
Wait. See, we're going to talk about this, but if you want to talk about that, we're not going to do that. So do you want to talk about that?
We didn't even know who that guy was until that day, but they appear on the networks like Newsmax and things like that. And that to me, and they're packaged differently. Kissinger. He tried.
It's Kissinger. I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I keep doing that to this conversation. I keep talking about Henry Kissinger, who is the devil. Who is
the other guy? The other guy.
Yes. But it's Kissinger.
On the Kissinger show. To be clear, it wasn't the host, but it was the guy on the Kissinger show. So sorry for confusing y'all, because I'd be confused too, and that's racist of me.
That's not racist.
Have the same.
It's just an unfortunate last name. If your last name is that close to Henry Kissinger, you should go ahead and change your last name. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Assumed I'd be doing that too much. But no, seriously though. But yeah, they get on these different platforms, and they do they try to do their job. But old boy went on Newsmax. You know what I'm saying? His name was Litter, whatever it was. But
David,
he tore him up. He lit it up.
He killed it. Yes. And so, but those are the people that we remember. When you go on there and you try to coddle them, and you're a little, a passive with how you speak to terrorists, how you speak to racists, how you speak to white supremacists, you really got to you got to hand them the behind. I know. Remember when we said that, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. But remember what I told you guys, I go low. I go low. So, like I said, a woman said online, she goes boots with the fur low. So it's low, 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 low. We go really low right in there. So no, you got to play them at their own game. We got to play them at their own game. So
one last story. I got to get this in because it's an important story. There's a couple stories that I want to talk about, and I tell you what,
give them a free show.
I'll tell you what, girl, hush. What I'm thinking about is the Ahmaud Arbery, the charges, the federal charges, as well as their attempt to. We'll talk about Ahmaud Arbery in the after party. Brian Kemp repealing the 1863 citizen arrest law, which is important to discuss because in the context of what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, the way it took a month for those 3 white men who shot and killed Ahmaud Arbery to be arrested because they used that law. This Civil War law, 1863 law, as justification, and they got away with it for a whole month. So we'll discuss that in the after party, as well as Stacey Abrams being asked about her dating life.
Or was she?
It was an interesting. She was with Gayle King.
I know, was she asked about her dating life? It's just all in context, but we'll take a look. Okay. I think David definitely dropped some.
He said, "Or was she?" Okay, all right, and then a whole lot of other stuff. All right, we are at the end of the hour. Patreon.com/like it or not. If you want to get the after party, and everyone who is on twitch.tv, you can support the show by donating your Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you another penny. All you got to do is go to twitch.tv/Benjamin P. Dixon and donate until we get the Like It or Not Twitch TV. All that's coming up. We have the Like It or Not Facebook page. Make sure you're following that. Make sure you're patreon.com/Like It or Not, supporting it there, etc., etc., etc. Rebecca, you here? Say something, then we're going to the after party.
I see you guys in the after party.
And I'm going to say, y'all make sure that you join patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. If you join, this helps support the show and keeps us going forever and ever and ever. And ever.
It's all you, Bubba.
All right, y'all. We're going to get you to the after party. But before we go, we do have a few patrons to name off. And see what happens if you become a patron. You, too, will have your name read on the show, too, and get access to the patron parties hosted by yours truly. And it is truly something that you don't want to miss. So let's get into these new patrons real quick before we get out of here today. All right, new patrons for today. Wednesday, we have Tina M, Parasha B, Christina S, Sean P, Lena L. Our new Twitch subscribers, we have Stallion 5817. We have Ames Forever, who subscribed with Prime. We have Alicia Queen 75, who subscribed for 2 months with Prime. Thank you for that. Funky Pug 313, subscribe for 5 months. Thank you for your subscription. Dancing with Doge, subscribe for 6 months. Thank you for that. And Dancing with Doge also gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you so much to our new patrons, y'all. You have made the best decisions one of the best decisions in your life to support the Like It or Not show, y'all. We greatly appreciate y'all. Again, y'all, patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. You too can join, y'all. We'll see y'all at the after party. Deuces.
Something about you that makes me want to scream and shout.